Number 5 is creating a distinct brand that speaks to you and your ideal client. A lot of times people make their brand personal. They make it about themselves. When really you have to find that bridge between you, your ideal client, and the market. It is really that when you're able to create the bridge between the three, that's when you have a very solid offer. You can't create a brand in isolation of what's happening in the market or your competitors. You can't create a brand in isolation of what's happening with consumers or buyers. And so you really need to be able to understand clearly what's true for you, what's true for the market, and what's true for your ideal client. Having a clearly defined and consistently expressed brand persona. So we talked about buyer persona, and now your brand needs to have a persona. Your brand needs to have a DNA that will powerfully enhance your marketability. And so we do this in different ways in terms of creating a distinct personality, leveraging the right archetypes for your brand. So just to give you a little bit about what the archetypes are. Archetypes really create a shortcut to the mind of your customer. So your customers really, in general, they buy unconsciously. Most people think that they're making conscious decisions, but they're actually operating at an unconscious level. And so what archetypes do for brands is that it helps them quickly connect with consumers who have a certain lifestyle, who have a certain point of view in life. So if you look at a brand like Harley-Davidson is all about the rebel archetype. And so people who see themselves as rebels or outlaws, they love the Harley-Davidson brand, right? And like Louis Vuitton, which leverages the explorer. And so people who love to travel connect with the Louis Vuitton brand. And so it's really about understanding what that is for your brand. And when I work with clients, when I coach clients, what we do is we identify what are the 3 archetypes. We call that the perfect fit for your market. And we also do what we uncover is your it factor. Because every brand has an it factor. Every brand has that je ne sais quoi that will pull in your tribe of people to you like a magnet, that will make your brand irresistible. And what tends to happen to a lot of entrepreneurs is sometimes your brand is disconnected. Like you have this one personality over there and another personality over there. And it's how do we bring it together? The personalities within you that will be most profitable for your brand, because not everything about you will serve the success of your business. But what are the key things about you that will make your brand more marketable that we want to leverage over and over and over again to attract clients with greater ease? And that essentially creates your brand culture. And then it also defines how you message, how you create stories. It helps you also create better website copy, create better social media copy. So, I had a client who recently created what we call our signature framing story. And this is a story that you'll learn about a little later here, created to help you sell, right? So brands have different stories, which you will learn. And the framing story was very archetypal. So when we were able to identify what are the archetypes that were essential for her brand success, we were able to infuse that into her messaging and her sales page. And she wrote back to me to say that that allowed her to increase her fees to 40 to 100%. She increased her fees by 40 and 100% and was able to attract higher end clients. So, it's very exciting when you discover how to do this, because it allows you to be able to communicate better to the right client and even earn more for your products and services. It also helps you create better images and select images for your website and even your brand photo shoot. So what we do is when we understand the brand archetypes and the it factor of our clients, they're able to better understand how do we create visual stories that allow us to communicate and connect with ideal clients faster. Because ultimately what you want is when people encounter your website, your social media, that they're making a decision fast to work with you, that they're seeing and connecting with you at an emotional level, that they know that your brand is the brand that is their next level, that will help them create the ultimate success. So as I spoke about visual images, this was one of our clients in the Global Brand Creation Academy. And she's actually a designer. So she designed this outfit. And because she understood the archetypal nature of her brand, she was able to create these images that are provocative. So sometimes we mute ourselves and we play it safe. But when you understand your it factor, you're able to take bolder moves. And guess what? Bolder images, bolder presence is what's going to get attention in the market. Now, it's not about you doing anything that's out of character for you, because some of my clients, like we have clients in the academy who actually have, their brand is what we call like more of the innocent archetype. So this more pure, down to earth, very friendly girl next door type of look. But then we have clients who have these bolder archetypes, yet they're muting themselves, trying to be like everybody else in their industry, when really they need to do stuff that is more provocative. So again, it really depends on your personality. It's not about doing anything that is not true for you and your it factor. Now, this is really powerful because, you know, this client sent me this message and she said, "Thank you for everything and for buying into my vision from day one and for cheering me to expansion. You being my first coach was critical to it all. Night before last, I sat at a bar having a burger and fries, reading up on the Queen archetype. The next day, I closed the second contract and received the first deposit to seal the deal." And for that client, that was a 7-figure deal. When you understand how you're meant to show up and communicate, you're showing up in your full power with greater confidence. It really does elevate the energy of how clients encounter your brand and how you're showing up in the world. So a lot of people say to me that they're not sure what stories to tell online. Like, you have all these things in your head and you're not sure like what you should really be sharing and what would make the greatest impact. And I want to share with you that there are 2 different types of brand stories. There's the brand heritage story. And typically when we work with clients to create this, the brand heritage story is what we use to create your about page on your website. And we have a specific formula that we take clients through in our coaching program. What I say to clients is, your heritage story has to really be able to help your ideal client connect with not only you, but your mission in the world. It goes back to tip number 1, your why. I remember we had our Milan retreat, and I took our clients through the process of creating their brand heritage story for their about page. And I remember through the process, as they're going through the workbooks, which, I create these guides to make it easy for you to be able to do it. One of my clients broke into tears, and she realized that she was actually continuing the story of her great-great-grandfather, the mission that he had started so long ago in Africa. She's from Portugal. And now the work that she's doing, her soul's journey, she sees how it's so deeply connected in her family heritage, her family mission, what her grandfather had started so many years ago, that she now knows her soul needs to complete here on earth, because this is something that is a true soul calling. And there's so much power when you connect even to your family heritage. For some of you, it may not be in your family heritage. For some of you, you're breaking the cycle of something in your family heritage that you're meant to do differently. That because in your family heritage it was always done this way, you know that the way forward, the way to create that success, that level of abundance and everything, or to create that bigger impact, is to do the opposite. And so we discover all of these things, or maybe you had an experience in your own life that really set you out on a different path and gave you a higher purpose. So your brand story, again, I always say to my clients, because some people tend to put too much detail in the story and some people don't put enough. So I have two things that I see with clients when I work with them: too much context or too little content, or too much content and too little context. And your story needs to be a great balance between content and context. And the difference is, content is, this is what happened, da, da, da. Context is taking people behind the scenes. So your story needs to be relatable. You need to have that brand origin or the brand heritage story. And the second type of story is the signature framing story. And the signature framing story, I want to share with you. Again, this example that I have in this video is an example of a product-based business. But if you're a coach or consultant like me, we actually have a step-by-step process that I take you through in our coaching program that helps you nail this. You know, I was so excited. Even recently, one of my clients created her framing story in an entirely new way, identifying how this TV show that she used to watch as a child had impacted, that embodied her entire life mission and what she wanted to do in the world for her clients. And she was able to illustrate that beautifully to be able to take the clients on a journey to ultimately buy her products and services. So again, that framing story is what we call creating context around the product. It's not just going out and selling your product, but building a story around your product or service is so much more powerful than just selling the service. So let's see how this brand does it in a very short video clip.
$10.
That was the outside figure, yes.
I see.
Do you have anything for $10?
Well, frankly, madam, within that price range, the variety of merchandise is rather limited. However, I do think we might have, let me see, strictly as a novelty, you understand, for the lady and gentleman who has everything, a sterling silver telephone dialer at $6.75, including tax.
Sterling silver telephone dialer.
Yes, at $6.75, including federal tax.
Well, the price is right, but I must say I'd rather hope for something slightly more, how shall I say it, romantic in feeling. What do you think?
A sterling silver telephone dial is go. I certainly think it's handsome, but I mean, you do understand.
Well, we tried, but I guess we could have something engraved, couldn't we?
Yes, I suppose so. Yes, indeed. The only problem is you would more or less have to buy something first, if only in order to have some object upon which to place the engraving. You see the difficulty.
Well, we could have this engraved, couldn't we? I think would be very smart.
This, I take it, was not purchased at Tiffany's?
No. Actually, it was purchased concurrent with, well, actually came inside of, well, a box of Cracker Jack.
I see. Do they still really have prizes in Cracker Jack boxes?
Oh, yes.
That's nice to know. It gives one a feeling of solidarity, almost of continuity with the past, that sort of thing.
Do you think Tiffany's would really engrave it for us? I mean, you don't think they would feel it was beneath them or anything like that?
Well, it is rather unusual, madam. But I think you'll find that Tiffany's is very understanding. If you will tell me what initials you would like, I think we could have something ready for you in the morning.
Didn't I tell you this was a lovely place?
So essentially what Tiffany's is doing here is really framing their product around a story, right? They're in the movie, and it might have been a marketing decision where the company realized that people had this perception that Tiffany's was not for everybody, that Tiffany's was too exclusive for certain people to go in, and they wanted to encourage more buyers to engage with the brand. And so the whole story inside of Breakfast of Tiffany's, that scene that you watch, was really framing that, hey, Everyone's welcome in Tiffany's, and it doesn't matter what your budget is. We will accommodate you. We will make you feel special, right? So this is the brand actually shifting the market perception through a story in a very subtle way. And even as a coach, consultant, or service-based entrepreneur, you can do the very same thing using various techniques that we actually show our clients in the coaching programs. But one thing that you want to do is always just make sure that the story supports the product or service that you're offering. And so these are some clients that I've worked with. Mandy is a client that I worked with on her framing story. And she said that she's never been more confident on messaging. The funnel that I prepared to record and deliver was totally elevated to a precision to the message that was on brand, with a precision to the message that was on brand and valuable. And she said it's just been amazing because the marketing funnel that we created added so much value to her audience and positioned her as an industry authority. She knows that it's already going to add millions of dollars to her business, and she's excited to start using it. She said, you've helped unlock a whole new me. You know, that's the excitement that really gets me passionate about doing this work with women. Because when your messaging is solid, when your messaging is clear, when you feel so deeply connected with it and it resonates with you, there's so much power to that you feel more powerful and confident, and clients feel that. A lot of times, if you have that desperate energy, if you have that energy of, oh, no one's buying, or you're afraid to approach, people feel that energy too. It's all energy. And so really having the pieces in place in the right way is just going to change the game of how you show up in the world. This was another client. She said, I wrote my signature framing story. Then all of a sudden I started to wonder if it was written in the format to represent my archetype. I came back here looking for the storytelling formulas by archetype document, which is something we share with clients in the Global Brand Creation Academy and our coaching programs. And it's no wonder I could not get my marketing down. For a long time, I bought into the fact that I had a money story because that's what people were talking about all the time. But then I really looked, I said, no, I believe I have a marketing story problem. It's the marketing, usually it's about how you're marketing, the marketability of your story that's impacting how you're able to create success in the market. And this is another client of ours who really has done the framing story. And this client has an incredible story. She went from being an employee to having her own high-end consulting firm, working with high net worth clients in Asia as a specialty. And she's doing this from the Caribbean. So again, it's, you know, there are no boundaries. It doesn't matter where you're in the world. You know, so much is possible for you when you step into, you know, your powerhouse world-class brand.